stand-up comedy. She asked me to say that she tells amazing jokes about her inflated ego. But this is her first time doing stand-up, so everybody a huge warm welcome her to the stage.
Hey everybody, thank you so much for coming out. Like Sarah said, my name is Chitra, and this is my first time doing stand-up, so I just want to give a huge shout out to NYU Grad Life. Thank you so much for having this extremely specific event with a very low bar for entrance. My mother is in town, actually, but she couldn't get in, daily screener, you know, the whole thing. But that's fine, because my mom doesn't particularly like the idea of me doing stand-up comedy. And it's not because, like, you know, stand-up's kind of not a great choice of career. I'm gonna die alone and starving. It's kind of a lame choice of hobby. And my mom doesn't want me to do stand-up because she thinks I'm not funny. See, I think of myself as the comedian of our family, and my mom thinks of herself as the anti-comedian. If you think that you are funny, my mother is there to remind you that you most certainly are not. Like once I was flying home for winter break, and my suitcase was really heavy, and I knew my mom was going to make some comment about why my suitcase was so heavy, and so I decided on the plane I was going to practice a joke ahead of time. I was going to come up with something to say. And I decided that when my mom asked me why my suitcase was so heavy, I was going to reply, I don't know, maybe it's full of bricks. It was a red-eye flight right after finals. I was not coming up with my best material. But I get off the plane, I meet my mom at baggage claim, and right on cue, she also picks up my suitcase and says, why is your suitcase so heavy? And I've practiced for this moment. I'm ready. I don't know, maybe it's full of bricks. My mom looks at me, no smile, not even a laugh, much like some of you right now. No reaction, just disappointment. Finally, after about 10 seconds, oh, I thought all the bricks were just in your head. I was living in the Bay Area before starting this PhD back in 2019. And I liked being in the Bay. I'm from there. My family and friends were all there. It was really nice. And I was sad to leave. I was leaving. My sister was also about to start undergrad in 2019, and that meant that starting in the fall, my parents were scheduled to become empty nesters. And that was pretty wild, because in the entire time that I've known my parents, they have been parents. And I didn't know how they would deal with this. It was kind of a crazy identity crisis for them. They would have nobody to drive around, nobody to feed, nobody to yell at to go get them the remote because they didn't feel like stretching a little bit further, nobody to say platitudes to. Like, the most important thing is that you be independent, or good judgment will always beat out intelligence. So they were suffering when confronted with this idea of empty nesting. I was picturing my mom walking around like a slam poet. Empty nest, empty nest, empty nest, empty nest. She was suffering. And my parents spent most of that first fall semester trying to reassure me and my sister that everything was going just fine. They were not suffering, they were doing great, but we all know that actions speak louder than words, and honestly, their actions were just screaming help. I FaceTimed my parents one Saturday around October of the first year of my PhD, and I said, I'm a little bored, I'm a little lonely. First year of the PhD doesn't offer a whole lot of time for socialization. I was living alone. So yeah, I felt lonely. And my dad listens, he nods, he goes, oh, you're lonely. That's sad. Why? Did your kids abandon you too? My mother said that she was gonna make my dad start to do yoga with her. Leading up to this, my mom had somewhat of a regular practice. She would go once, maybe twice a year. But now they're in it together, and they go once a week. It's easier with Zoom. My dad keeps trying to skip, though, and hamstring flexibility isn't coming along as great. But then when he does go, sometimes he beats my mom in the child pose, and there's some friction there. I don't call on Wednesday nights anymore. The kicker was about a month before I left for college, and I left for grad school, and my sister left for college. My mother bought a car seat. This is a car seat, despite the fact that her youngest child is 18 years old. We're small, but we don't need a car seat. We'll be fine. My mom's big plan for the car seat was this. She was going to hit up everyone she knows who has a baby. I think it was going to start off with people that she knows. I don't know if this plan was expanded. And she was going to offer to watch their kids for them. And apparently the biggest barrier to this plan was the lack of an adequately safe transportation option for those babies to get from their house to ours. Nothing else in this plan was wrong, just the lack of a car seat would make everything perfectly fine. So one Sunday evening, right before I was scheduled to leave, I came home, and there were 3 children I had never seen before sitting in the living room playing Uno with my dad. And my dad put down a draw for a while, and my mom was behind him going, no, 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 hey, you can't do that. You have to let them win or they won't come back. As mentioned, I have a pretty inflated ego. I have a tendency to let compliments go straight to my head. Pretty good at brushing off insults. I kind of have to. Like I said, my mom doesn't think I'm funny. But I'm pretty good at remembering all the compliments I've ever been paid. I mean, the only reason I'm even up here tonight is because all the guys I meet, especially when I'm out, are so encouraging about it. Whenever I'm out, especially with my female friends, guys are always all over us telling me how I am definitely the funny one. I love compliments, take them super personally. A few summers ago, I was in San Francisco, and a woman came up to me on the bus, and she leaned into me real close. She touched my arm. She goes, "You have amazing legs." I'm in shorts now. There was a thunderstorm earlier. I do not care. I wore shorts throughout my entire first winter in New York. Thunderstorms, weather forecasts, I don't believe them. I believe that woman on the bus. So all of this is to say that, if you don't really like what I do here tonight, that's fine. My mother doesn't think I'm funny either. But if you give me so much as the slightest hint of praise, I will literally never leave this stage. Thank you guys.